What's a social norm you secretly wish would disappear? Story 1: Cheap gift exchanges. I'd rather get nothing from my coworkers than more plastic tchotchkes from the dollar store. It's part of our culture of overconsumption, and I hate that I'm expected not only to enthusiastically accept the junk, but also to give in kind. Story 2: I'm 50 years old. Okay, I grew up using landline phones. It was completely normal when no one answered your phone call. Now, people expect you to be tethered to your smartphone and get pissed when you don't answer. It's irrational. Just because you called doesn't mean that I am available. Edit also. Just because you text doesn't mean I am available to respond. Story 3: Go to work sick or being financially punished with poor zero sick leave to stay home, or needing to do a lot of work while sick trying to prove it by getting a doctor's note. Story 4: Putting your child's entire life on the internet. I'm so glad I was born in the 90s and not today. For this reason, private lives being a thing of the past, literally filming and photographing every minute detail of their lives, etc. Story 5: Having your phone out. 247. Put away at dinner. Put it away when shopping. Don't have long FaceTimes or speakerphone on for more than 2 minutes when you're in public. Put it away when hanging out. Put it away when driving. Live in the moment with people. Story 6: The high expectation around post-secondary education. We do need people with university education and higher levels thereof, but not at the level or breadth we treat as normal or desire nowadays. Especially when degrees sometimes get you into jobs where you often learn everything you need on the job rather than from school, essentially making the degree a token of entry rather than suitable preparation. It's a source of debt, stress, and lost labor we don't need, nor should be burdened with, unless it really is useful to your career. And we already seem to recognize how huge experience is in your body of previous work. Story 7: The amount of gifting annually for the sake of some arbitrary occasion is nuts. Now, I get that gifting people is nice, but you should gift someone because you care about them and think it would be a nice gesture, not because some consumerism culture teaches you that this day is a day you should buy people a gift. Story 8: I really wish people would stop telling others they'll never succeed in life if they don't go to college or university. Success doesn't have a one-size-fits-all path, and there are plenty of ways to build a fulfilling life without following that traditional route. Story 9: Instant gratification in everything. Amazon's 2-day shipping, if it even takes that long, texts and emails being expected to be read and responded to right away, fast food, and so much more. Our lives are going by faster and faster, and it's hard, if not downright impossible, to process it all. I stopped wearing my Apple Watch, and I started blocking my phone for several hours at a time every day, and it has helped me get such a better grasp on my life. I'm a firm believer that this generalized and insanely fast-paced lifestyle is a major contributor to many people's anxiety. Story 10: Funerals. My God, I'm sick of them, especially a religious service. I'm not going anymore, and I refuse to have one. That entire industry is predatory. Story 11: Suits and uncomfortable clothing. I am an attorney and absolutely hate suiting up in the middle of summer. Let's just dress up comfortably and discuss the issue like grown-ups. There's no need to play dress up. Story 12: I may be in the minority here, but I hate the whole kiddie pad culture. I just feel like it's another way to neglect your kid and let them control the parent if they don't get it their way. Story 13: The need for filled conversational silence. I'm happy to just be quiet and chill with you if neither of us has something to say. I don't want to feel like I'm underperforming socially if there's dead air. Story 14: People giving their opinions on absolutely everything. At one of my former jobs, some coworkers were talking about masturbation in the break room. On social media, it's even worse. Story 15: I wish the stigma around taking unpaid time off would disappear. I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. So once I've used up my paid leave, I still want to take time off, but every time I do, people hit me with, "But you're not going to get paid." And when I say, "Yeah, that's fine," they still give me weird looks. Story 16: Influence of religious ideas in state politics. They very often tell what others should do with their life, and this alone is an attack on someone else's freedom. I think this is not compatible with the basic job of a government. Story 17: The how are you as a greeting. I know it's only a pleasantry for most people, but I wish people would only ask if they actually care to know the real answer. Story 18: That everyone is an armchair or keyboard therapist. You have relationship issues. Oh, your partner is a narcissist, or an avoidant, or an anxious attachment. Stop acting like you're a relationship expert because you saw something on TikTok or Instagram. Story 19: Not a single reason workers at grocery stores and other one-place services can't sit down while they work. The outdated norms of professionalism that boomers lived by are actually and actively harmful to employees. Story 20: Loud. Often live music at restaurants and bars. I understand background noise fine, but I can't handle a band playing so loud that I can't hear myself think while I am trying to socialize with friends over a meal. Story 21, I believe the U.S. has normalized the entertainment value of crime, and I wish it would just stop. The focus of our entertainment on murder is especially troubling. How many television shows begin with a murder or revolve around solving the mystery of a murder? How many films focus on crime and gun violence? Murder is not normal. Not every problem is solved by shooting someone. And there are so many other fascinating stories to tell about the human condition that don't require shooting guns or murdering someone. Story 22, involving or expecting alcohol to be served in pretty much every social environment. Can we just have some decent places to enjoy ourselves publicly without some drunk ruining it? Story 23, gender-restricted clothing. Men should be able to wear tunics, skirts, and dresses in summer if it's more comfortable than pants. They should also be allowed to wear colors. Story 24, pledging one's allegiance to their country daily. Although it might be needed now more than ever, anthems and prayers before games, council meetings, and events, most can't wait for all the pompous ceremony to end, including Super Christian Trump. You could see him rolling his eyes. Story 25, obligatory thank you notes. Specifically for weddings, I love getting and giving a good card. I enjoy writing out heartfelt messages for birthdays and Valentine's Day, saying all the things I love and appreciate about my loved ones, but thank you notes for weddings are so dumb. I don't need you to tell me how much you'll treasure the towels I got you, or whatever. They were on your registry, so I already know you like them. They for the money feels so hollow and just kind of icky. I pride myself on giving excellent gifts for birthdays, Christmas, etc. that I keep an eye out for all year round. So to be formally thanked in writing for what's probably the least thoughtful, most low-effort gift you'll ever give someone, either I clicked a button on your registry or I wrote a check, just feels kind of silly. It also seems over the top to expect this couple who just finished planning a huge event for hundreds of people and probably tens of thousands of dollars to then write hundreds of individual notes thanking people for plates or whatever. If someone went above and beyond supporting you, then sure, feel free to send them a card. But if I attend your wedding as a guest, please know the lovely party is thanks enough, and feel free to save yourself the labor and the stamp. Story 26, can we stop normalizing obesity? If you want to be a bigger person and you're happy, that's fine, but can we stop pretending it's healthy or that you look good? Story 27, this may be more of an American thing, but tying our self-worth to our productivity, I see people who run themselves ragged, taking pride in working 60 hours in a week. I used to be like that, and after 5 years I was suicidal and physically ill from stress. But I hate the mindset that people need to be work-ready 247. I had to explain to a peer in another department that I am not on call, am not paid salary either. When I step foot off campus is my time. He was incredulous and called me lazy. I worked a contract gig, and I was only required to work 40 hours. It was heavily implied that I was expected to work overtime. People were averaging 70-hour weeks. I refused. OT wasn't mandatory, and I was under no obligation to work beyond my requirement. Needless to say, they found a reason to fire me after a couple of months, which brings me to a similar point. I hate the mindset businesses have that overtime opportunities is like manna from heaven. I pissed off a bunch of executives at one company because they were stroking their dicks about how they were doing the PNs a favor by offering them overtime. And I had to explain that if there was a constant demand for people to work overtime, it was indicative of a fault within management. Needless to say, I was let go from that job too. There is no shame in taking time to do nothing. Sometimes it's necessary. There is no shame in taking and keeping time for yourself either. Story 28, not bullying societal deviance from the norm. Too many grown adults don't know how to act in public because they weren't taught at home or by their peers the correct way to politely behave in public. Story 29, for women to have to shave their armpits. I absolutely hate shaving and am able to easily manage any odor with deodorant. People freak out so easily when they see women with hair under their arms in the U.S. Story 30, FaceTiming in public. For some reason, people also feel the need to scream into a video call. It's not the same as a normal conversation level noise in a restaurant, etc. Story 31, whistling. I detest it. I hate that it's somehow a show of being cheerful and happy. And to ask someone to stop means I'm being miserable. No, Brian, it's not miserable. I just don't want your high-pitched noises interrupting every single thought I have while trying to focus on my job. It wouldn't be acceptable if I just started randomly squealing along to music. So why is whistling to it acceptable? Story 32, promotion, turning people into. I work with a lot of salespeople, and the moment one makes manager, they immediately lose all respect for everyone deemed under them. They no longer feel the rules apply to them, and all feeling seems to go out the window. Story 33, ableism and the resulting lack of accessibility and half-assed attempts at accessibility, but we have a ramp. So your ramp is aimed diagonally and goes directly into a busy intersection. Story 34, being expected to make eye contact unless you want to be perceived as rude. I'm autistic, and eye contact is excruciating for me. I simply can't have a normal conversation if I have to make it. If I force myself to, I'm not focused on the conversation because I'm just thinking about whether I'm making enough eye contact or too much and how uncomfortable I am. But if I don't have to make it, I can engage in a much more meaningful way. I think it's hard for a lot of people, and I just wish that could be generally respected. Story 35, having to respond when someone you don't know, aka a stranger, talks to you out in public. Nah. Man, I was just doing my thing, enjoying my day, deep in my own thoughts. Your desperate need to blather on or connect with others is your issue. Leave me alone. Story 36, in U.S. politics, being forced to follow either Democrat or Republican, not independent, or a third party, or just stay out of the conversation, but have to be one side or the other. Irritates me, especially when you hear both sides bickering about each other, and I just listen or ignore the conversation. Then I'm dragged into some conflict because I'm staying out of it. I had one person actually comment how I'm the bad one for staying out of a conversation involving something important. When these people start to talk all online, I just stay out of the chat and do something else. Story 37, people expecting you to say good morning when you just want to be left in peace and not chit-chat, especially when they get super offended and act like it ruined their day as the end of the world. Story 38, being friends with the parents of your kid's friends. Sorry, but most of the time, I don't even like the kid, let alone want to be forced into some adult friendship. Story 39, distracted driving. 99 of the time, it's people on their phone. Cars with be patient, student driver bumper stickers, and getting one made experienced driver. Not patient, get the F out of my way. Story 40, opening any kind of text exchange on phone, or I am at work with hi, and waiting for AHITO, send me the rest of your message. Just get on with it, I don't care about your hi, and I hate feeling like I'm being rude when I don't start my own messages with hi. I'm busy, you're busy, keep it moving. Story 41, not secretly. When you're at a four-way stop and you get there before the other person, just go. Stop waving people on. That causes wrecks. Also, speeding is seen as incredibly dangerous, whereas driving too slow is just an inconvenience. Driving too slow can be equally as dangerous to other drivers. If you aren't comfortable driving at least the speed limit, you shouldn't be driving, period. When one feels emboldened to behave absolutely horrendously for clout on social media, like going out in public and pranks, or flipping out and trashing a store or fast food restaurant. Bring back public shaming. Story 42, the little lies of small talk. Rather we all sit comfortably in silence than my autistic brain figure out how to answer another disingenuous how are you from a stranger that my brain will melt down trying to answer without too much honesty, but without lying. Story 43, at will employment. It can be beneficial at times, but I tend to see it getting abused. There are no protections in place for termination unless you can prove it was for discrimination retaliation, which most can't even when it is. Story 44, the 40-hour work week and the 9 to 5 schedule. It's the worst during the winter when you leave work and it's already dark outside and you've spent the whole day indoors getting no sunlight. Story 45, being exposed to hypersexualized women in every form of media, entertainment, advertising, events, etc. Women are more than our body parts yet. That is what is constantly flaunted in our face. Men are rarely portrayed this way. Women are rarely not portrayed this way. Story 46, social media as a weapon. Rude, unnecessary exchanges with strangers online. Cough, cough, this app. Rude subliminal posts about people you know online. Even rude direct exchanges with people you know online. I remember when forums first came out and would have these intense school assemblies about cyberbullying. And it made sense kids needed to be taught how to responsibly handle technology. Well, so do adults. Sometimes people do really up, and yeah, they deserve to get blasted for it. But nothing makes my eyes roll harder than reading a post absolutely meant for a specific person to see, like just call them or stop whining. Celebrity beef culture hasn't helped, because now people want to emulate that. It's just all around way too normalized and super cringe. In real life, people close to me hate how bold and straightforward I am with strangers, and those familiar to me. Maybe that's exactly why it bothers me. Because in real life, I know most people barely have a bark or a bite, if actually put to the test. Story 47, feeling obligated to say yes to things, especially with coworkers and extended family. It shouldn't be considered rude if I don't want to go to your birthday party, or out for drinks, or over for dinner. I like my house, with my stuff, where I eat my food. Please don't make me feel bad for being a homebody. Story 48, not saying how people died. When I go, please put the cause in my obituary. It will be my last favor to everyone who went to high school with me and hasn't spoken to me in 25 years. Story 49, ladies and gentlemen. If it's a first date, it should be Dutch. Men don't owe you anything. It's not their job to pay for anything. Ladies, pull your weight. You're not even a couple yet, so don't make the guy jump through hoops for you. Your worth is not found in how many free dinners you're getting. Come on now, guys. Be a gentleman first. But not a doormat. The 50s are over. Story 50, child support being given to the people without any type of limitation. Put the money on a card that can be tracked on purchases. If nails, hair, and your rent or hobbies aren't something you can handle on your own, don't use child support to do it. There's spousal support for a reason. Leave the money for your kids' needs. I'm happily married with a son. Story 50, one nobody needs to say something when people sneeze. I have seasonal allergies and I get really tired of thanking people. At the very least, can we limit it to one per day? Story 52, the difference in how failed parents are treated. A father fails, the world doesn't bat an eye. A mother fails and you're looked at lower than a crack. It's wrong. Story 53, most definitely expected tipping. Workers should be paid a living wage, and a tip should never be expected and only given when good service has been given. Story 54, handshakes. This has been a wish of mine since childhood that my mother passed along to me. She felt most people didn't wash their hands as often as they should. Story 55, people staring at their phones in public. You're a zombie, and you normalize everyone else becoming a zombie. Need to make a call? Make a call, stop texting bullshit nonstop, and communicate like a human being, you piece of... You're destroying life and a total lemming. Either jump off a cliff or stop dragging humanity into some tech, lame bland world. Oh, I'm reading a book. No, read a book, then it's absolutely lame you, and you know I'm right about this. Search what's left of your feelings, and then downvote or call the cops on me. Going above and beyond at work. All my coworkers put in loads of unpaid effort, and it's never gotten any of them anywhere. Story 56, people celebrity worshiping. I no longer have any friends from HS College because I could not understand why you people take celebrity voices so seriously. They're literally just like us regardless of their upbringing. I had too many arguments with friends about not wanting to hear celebrity gossip or whatever drama they have going on in the press. I guess this also goes the same for people who have wealth such as Elon. I don't understand why someone having so much equates to intelligence. It does not, and we should not worship other humans based on these measures. Story 57, the majority of us are programmed for our entire lives: childhood, college, career, spouse, career, kids, retirement, kids, grandkids, death. I hope that humans continue to push back on what has been considered normal. We all weren't meant to have kids, go to college, be monogamous, etc., etc. Let people live how they want to live, and MYOB. Story 58, tipping. The tipping culture in America is insane, and we all know it. Yet it is everywhere and cannot be avoided. It's gotten to the point where I can't walk into a single place of business without having an iPad turn around in my face. No, I would not like to tip on the Chinese food order that I placed and then drove here to pick up. Story 59, orthodox thinking. Either from the left or right. I went to college in the late 80s, and we had open debates in college classes that were glorious. Now, I think there are clearly two teams, each that has a view that 100 of their team's answers to a series of unrelated issues are the truth, the way, and the light. This makes a liberal education a worthless endeavor. If we aren't building independent thinkers, what are we doing? Story 60, people talking on cell phone in public places, especially on speaker or playing games, watching videos with the volume up and no earbuds. Don't be that guy, gal. Story 61, the 9 to 5. I recently negotiated with my boss to come in at 4 a.m. so I could go home at noon. I get like 6 to 7 hours a day with my wife and 5-month-old son, instead of maybe 2 hours before my son goes to sleep. I am 30 years old, and I simply have never been able to just accept that getting home at freaking dinner time is just how it's done. I don't live to work. Work is just an unfortunate obstacle to facilitate my life and family's comfort. Every position I've ever been in, I've always been the guy that makes ways to be leaving work as soon as possible. Story 62, the it's getting late, and I'm getting sleepy, and I gotta get up early tomorrow, and the cleaning up from the table instead, thanks for visiting. But I want to be alone now. Do you want a last cup of tea before you go? I overstayed my visit at people's places so many times because they just don't tell you that they want you to leave. The non-genuine, how are you? Small talk in general. Businesses opening at 6 in the morning and closing around 6 in the evening. Most of us are not morning people. Why would we all be expected to wake up so early? Story 63. Added to words, as in no or why or stop or it's not fair It is incredibly annoying and seems to be taking over a huge segment of society. It is often used when people are whining loudly about something, but I have heard it in general conversation. I wish this trend, along with the use of dude as a form of address, would stop. Story 64, Small Talk. It's not rude to not be interested in how my random coworker's day is every single day. Some people would rather just do our jobs and go home and not have to make the same shallow conversations all the time. It's exhausting.